In this lecture, we'll spawn some additional pickups for both a coin and an apple on each individual chunk if a lane is available. Let's get started. As we've become familiarized to, I tend to like to create my prefabs first in our project before we jump in and start writing some new code. So let's go ahead and do that. In our hierarchy, let's create a new empty game object. Let's call this our apple pickup. Inside here, you know the drill, create a new empty game object called model, and then let's go find a prefab in our prefabs folder that we can use inside of our GDTV assets. So scrolling down, let's go ahead and find the apple, drop this into our model, make sure that all three game objects are just zeroed out on the transform. Go ahead and do that for the apple pickup. And if you zoom in way to the apple, it's just way too small. It was actually from a different pack, I believe. So let's just actually bring this way up to about 4 to 5 times as big, just so we actually have something nice and pretty to look at for our apple pickup. I'm going to drag this up to about the halfway midsection of our king, just at a natural place where you would expect a pickup to be, somewhere around there in our game. Looking good to me. Let's go ahead and drag that into our prefabs folder and prefab this apple pickup. Let's go ahead and do the same for our coin, except we don't actually need to start from scratch. I'm just going to go ahead and unpack this prefab, and then we can actually just drag a new one into our prefabs folder. So right click, prefab, and unpack here. That way it'll technically keep the prefab of this model down here below. Let's go ahead and rename this to our coin pickup and just find our coin asset that we can actually use in our imported assets folder. Scrolling down, let's go ahead and find the king. Great, drag that into the model. Delete the apple, and then just drag our coin up just a smidgen, probably somewhere to about there. Looks pretty good to me. Nice, let's go ahead and prefab that as well. With both of those prefabbed, let's go ahead and delete that from our hierarchy and actually jump back in to our chunk class. Now, I don't really think it matters if we spawn apples or coins first. It probably doesn't matter much, but I think apples is a little bit more simple because in our coins function, we'd like to occasionally spawn more than one coin. So let's actually just start by creating a spawn apple function. And we can actually call that in start after spawn fence. Now we're only actually ever spawning one apple. So I'm actually just going to keep that, name it spawn apple. What did I mess up here? Okay, it's not a space apple. We're spawning an apple. We're just spawning an apple in a fantasy realm, not in a sci-fi realm. However, we are occasionally sometimes spawning more than one fence. So I'm actually just going to change spawn fence to spawn fences, plural. Not that it really matters much, but I do like to be explicit in my naming. Let's go ahead and have a think about how we're actually going to spawn each individual apple using what we already have. I think it would actually make sense to just promote this available lanes list to the top of our class so we can use it in our other functions. So I can actually just, while holding Alt, press the up arrow key and actually promote it to the top of the class, expanding the scope of this specific variable. We can actually now use and follow a lot of this similar logic in spawn apple. Except we don't even actually have to use a for loop. We know we ever only want one. So let's see, I think I can actually grab most of these 5 lines and then just actually copy paste it into spawn apple. Now that would be a lot of repetitive code, so let's actually see what we can reuse. The spawn position is going to be the same, but I think keeping that by instantiate seems to make a lot of sense. We are going to need to instantiate a different prefab, the apple prefab. So let's go ahead and actually create that as a serialized field up top. Let's create an apple prefab serialized game object. Nice, that makes sense to me. But these 3 lines here, I think we're going to actually use in all 3 of our individual functions for both spawning fences, apples, and coins. So I think I can actually highlight all 3 of these lines here and just extract it entirely. Let's rename this method to select lane. That way, when we define a selected lane as an integer, we can just call select lane directly. It's firing all this exact same logic that we had before, except it's just returning an int that we can use when we're defining and initializing selected lane. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the private keyword to keep things implicit. Let's go ahead and just cut this logic out. I'm just going to go ahead and paste it down below spawn apple. Now we can actually just use these 3 lines here in spawn apple. So I'm actually going to just highlight all 3 of these lines and paste it down in spawn apple. I think the only thing we actually really need to change is instead of instantiating our fence prefab, we just want to instantiate our apple prefab. And just like that, I think that's all we need. It's going to actually iterate this same sort of logic going through and only using the available lanes after spawn fences has already been fired. At the moment, the way we currently have our logic set up, it's never going to create more than 2 fences, so we'll always have at least 1 available lane, but I do think some sort of fail-safe condition would make sense. Let's just say if available lanes dot count is less than or equal to 0, then we can just return and exit this function entirely. Let's hop back into Unity and see if this works correctly. Let's make sure that on each individual chunk prefab, we just properly assign our apple prefab into this field. Nice, let's go ahead and hit play and give it a whirl. We should see each individual chunk always has one apple, and it should never occupy the same lane as one of our fences. Nice, seems to be working as intended. We've got a nice little stuck cannon over here. We'll go ahead and ignore that for now. Everything seems to be working as intended so far. But for the sake of balance, I think it would make sense if we didn't quite instantiate an apple on every single chunk. So let's actually just go ahead and create another serialized field up top for a float for some sort of spawn chance for our apple. Let's create another serialized field as a float, and we'll just call it apple spawn chance. It doesn't really matter what we initialize it to for now. It's relatively arbitrary, except I think something like a 30% chance would make sense. So let's go ahead and initialize our apple spawn chance to 0.3f, and then scrolling back down to our spawn apple. In spawn apple, we can actually just write another if condition. We can say if random.value. I can't remember if we've used random.value before. It's actually just going to return a random float in between 0 to 1. Super handy in this case. We can say if random value is greater than apple spawn chance, well, we also just want to return and not fire the additional logic down below. Now this would work just fine. You could actually have these two different return blocks. I sometimes actually tend to like this syntax. However, if you'd ever like to combine these into one line, you can actually use what's referred to as the vertical bar or the pipe, which is next to your backspace key while holding shift, this guy here. If you ever actually type 2 in a row in an if statement, it basically just means or. So you can say if random.value is greater than apple spawn chance or available lanes.count is less than or equal to 0, then just go ahead and return. This single line here is the same as the two lines that we had before. For the sake of learning something new, I'll go ahead and just keep this all on one line, except I'm noticing a little typo here. After available lanes.count less than or equal to 0. Nice, let's go try that out back in Unity. Looks to be working as intended. The apples only seem to be spawning in about 30% of the time and only spawning in on available lanes, never clashing with our fence. Which will introduce you to this lecture's challenge. Go ahead and spawn a coin. Spawn one coin on our chunk, just like our apple pickup, if a lane is available, and only do it 50% of the time. Currently, our apples are spawning in at 30% of the time. Just for the sake of variety, let's just spawn in one coin 50% of the time, and only spawn in a coin after the fences have already been generated, and only after an apple has also had the chance to be generated as well. Now, if you'd like a little bit of extra credit, spawn in 1 to 5 coins scattered throughout the lane on that specific chunk. We'll go through this part together regardless, but if you'd like to stretch your game dev muscles and stretch your programming skills a little bit, go ahead and spawn in more than one coin on occasion. In other words, if our king is over here and we're running in this direction, each individual coin will spawn in at the top of each individual tile chunk prefab, and it'll have the chance to spawn in between 1 to 5 coins. So a bit of a tricky extra credit challenge if I do say so myself. We'll go through my solution together regardless when you get back. But go ahead and try at least the top challenge on your own, and when you get back, we'll go through my solution together. Pause the video now, and I'll see you back here shortly. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and dive back into our chunk class. We can actually just go ahead and almost copy paste this entire spawn apple function to get us started, and then we can just go ahead and change what's needed. Instead of spawning an apple, let's just spawn coins, plural, since we're occasionally going to spawn in more than one. Before I forget, let's just go ahead and call this after spawn apple in start. At the top, we're going to need an additional prefab. Let's go ahead and just duplicate that line and call this our coin prefab. I can duplicate my apple spawn chance line as well, except I'll just call it my coin spawn chance, and we'll set that equal to 0.5, or in other words, at least a 50% chance of spawning at least one coin. Let's scroll back down and see what else we need to refactor. Let's just start from the top. If random.value is greater than our coin spawn chance, or available lanes.count is less than or equal to 0, then return. Okay, looking good there. We're then going to want to define a selected lane by using this select lane method. Yep, everything looks good there. And then we're going to want to create that same spawn position. Now, this is a little bit repetitive on each individual method, but I think I'm actually pretty satisfied with how it looks. We just need to instantiate our coin prefab. Before we go ahead and start instantiating potentially more than one coin, let's just actually fulfill and finish off the first part of this challenge and just make sure that this is working back in Unity. Let's just make sure on our chunk prefab that we assign our coin prefab. Nice, let's go ahead and hit play and make sure that's working correctly. Yeah, I think we're in business. It looks like everything seems to be working as intended. We've got one coin additionally being spawned after our fence and our apple, just on occasion about 50% of the time, somewhere along our bridge on each individual chunk. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pause for a second and just zoom in to one of our chunks. So this one actually has a coin here. We're spawning a coin somewhere on the x-axis on the left, middle, or right lane, but it's only ever spawning in the middle. If I want to say spawn somewhere in between 1 to 5 coins on our chunk, well then I'm going to need some sort of chunk separation length value. So because we know each individual chunk prefab is 10 by 10 unity lengths, if we actually separate our coin by a length of 2 each individual time it has a chance to spawn, we should be able to comfortably fit in 5 coins on one individual chunk. We just need to actually find the proper Z value at the top of the chunk. So for example, if we're spawning 5 coins on the left lane, we then actually first want to start here in the very top left of the chunk, and then just go in and spawn 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 coins as needed. Let's go hop back into our chunk class and give that our best effort. Like I mentioned, I'm going to need some sort of coin separation length float. We can actually just define that as a serialized field, just if for whatever reason we need to change any settings later on. But let's go ahead and define that as a float, and let's just call that coin separation length. And we'll just initialize that to 2 for now. I think that should mathematically make sense with our 10 by 10 chunk prefab. Let's scroll down back to our spawn coins function. Somewhere in here, we need to create another for loop each individual time we want to create a coin. Let's first define a new integer for the amount of coins we want to spawn. We can call this coins to spawn, and we can actually just set this as random.range. And then we know we want to spawn somewhere in between 1 to 5 coins, so we actually need to pick a random range for our integers in between 1 to 6. Since we know that we actually need to define the last integer as something exclusive, meaning that this will always return 1 to 5. But let's get rid of this magic number 6. Right before here, we can actually just say int max coins to spawn, and we can just initialize or set this to 6. Now that does look a little bit silly to me. Max coins to spawn isn't actually 6. I suppose you could do something like 5 plus 1 if you kind of want this to line up with our phrasing. But again, that looks a little bit silly to me too. So let's just satisfy ourselves with 6. Once we have a random amount of coins to spawn, let's just create a for loop and actually iterate over that the amount of times as the amount of coins we'd like to spawn. So our condition inside of our for loop will just be as long as I is less than coins to spawn. Inside this for loop, we're going to need to define a new spawn position and instantiate it each individual time. Cool. So we can go ahead and drag these 2 lines up here, but we do need to actually have a slightly different spawn position each individual time for each individual coin. We need to first find the very tippy top of the chunk on the Z value. So I guess we don't actually need to do that inside of the for loop. Let's just go ahead and do it here. Let's define this as a float that we can call top of, I don't know, chunk Z pause. Sure, why not? And we can set that equal to be transform.position.z just to get the center of our Z value on our chunk. Cool, that makes sense. And then we just need to add some sort of value to it. Now, I'm sure there's a few different ways that you could sort of get this value, but using what we already have, we can actually just grab our coin separation length times 2. That way we know we're actually going to equally space out each individual coin starting from the top, and it'll kind of line up from chunk to chunk. Now that we have the tippy top of the chunk value, we can actually use that inside of the for loop. Except I'm noticing, oops, silly me, you guys have probably been yelling at me this whole time. Steven, you still have a magic number. Okay, 1, 2, max coins to spawn. There we go, got rid of that nice little warning for me. Now that we have the tippy top of our chunk on the Z value, we can actually use this inside of the for loop for each individual coin. We can define a new float that we can call spawn position Z for the actual Z value for where each individual coin will spawn, depending on which iteration of I that we're actually going through. So we can use top of chunk pause minus some sort of length based on I. So I think what would make sense is we can actually grab I, depending on which iteration we're on, times it by our coin separation length. Now, instead of our transform position.z value while we're actually defining our spawn position in our vector 3, we just want to use our spawn position z value. So we can go ahead and replace transform.position.z in our spawn position vector 3. Nice. I'll admit, it kind of feels like I'm forgetting something, but let's go ahead and try that out back in Unity and see if we set it up correctly. Nice. Let's go ahead and give it a whirl. Let's go ahead and pause our game just to kind of make sure everything seems to be working as intended, which it looks like it is. It looks like we have both apples and coins properly spawning on each individual chunk at some sort of frequency that we've defined as a float as a serialized field. and every chunk that chose to spawn a coin seems to have in between 1 to 5. This chunk here looks like it seems to have 5 coins. If you actually go into that chunk prefab, you can actually see that the first coin spawns at the very tippy top of the chunk and then just scales down appropriately, spawning 5 coins. Now, if you wanted to say spawn in 10 coins, for example, you could probably do that just fine. You would just have to change your chunk separation length to 1, I think would make sense, or maybe even something like 0.8 so there's not an overlap in between chunks. Well done on this lecture. That was a lot for us to cover. If for whatever reason some of that for loop logic kind of went over your head and we went a little bit too quickly throughout that process, don't even stress about it. Just rewatch the video until you feel comfortable to move on. When you're ready for the next one, I'll see you there.